Good morning, everybody. Don't you just love daylight saving time, especially those longer days in the summer? Well, it was on this date in 1918, March 31, that we adopted daylight saving time during the last year of World War I, and its legacy lives on. Our globe is 360 degrees around. There are 24 hours in a day. So divide 360 by 24, you get 15. So every 15 degrees of longitude is, more or less, another time zone. So daylight on the Earth is different depending on where you are on the planet. At the equator, for instance, it's a lot different than at the poles, and that affects whether daylight saving time really works or not. Now, Ben Franklin is often associated with daylight saving time. Now, when he was our ambassador to Paris, he did write some satire encouraging the French to get up when the sun got up and not sleep in so much, but he didn't suggest daylight saving time. That's not true. The idea of clock time and time zones really moves forward with the spread of railroads. Here's a railroad map from Europe around 1880. So what the clock says is going to become a lot more important than how much daylight there happens to be on that particular day. And as people move from rural areas to urban areas, the amount of daylight during the day is less important than what the clock says in terms of work. So when your workday is set by the amount of sunshine, that's a lot different than when it's set by a clock in a factory. George Hudson lived in New Zealand. He loved to collect insects, and he suggested daylight saving time in 1895 so he could have more time to collect insects. And in 1905, William Willett up in England also suggested daylight saving time because he loved to golf, and he wanted to get a golf round in after the workday. So the first countries to establish daylight saving time were Germany and Austria-Hungary. They did it in 1916 in World War I, and the idea was to save coal. We did it in 1918 on this date. But there's really no clear link between daylight saving time and energy savings. This is one of these ideas that people keep going round and round. Does daylight saving time really help in the preservation of energy? And we're really not sure. Daylight saving time ended after World War I, but it made its appearance in 1942 in World War II as wartime. And we still have it today. In 1966, Congress passed the Uniform Time Act, and this established when daylight saving time would begin and end. It was modified in 2005 to where we have it today. Now, not everybody likes daylight saving time. Farmers, for instance, who love early morning daylight because they start their workday early, liked the light in the morning, so they were not real happy about daylight saving time. Another problem with it is, in our country anyway, not all the states observe it. Arizona doesn't, but within Arizona, the Navajo Nation does. So that's a little bit confusing. Globally, about 60% of the world's population does not acknowledge daylight saving time. The dark green are the countries that do. So you notice Asia and Africa basically don't. Now this chart shows the longest day of the year. This is the amount of sunlight. At the equator, it's about 12 hours all the time. But up in Alaska during the summer, it can be almost 20 hours. So as you get to the higher latitudes or you're at the equator, there's very little connection between the actual workday and the amount of sunlight. So daylight saving time really doesn't seem to work very well at either the equator or at the upper latitudes. And I love this photo. This is June 21, the summer solstice in Alaska. That's how high the sun gets at noon. And time zones, too, have their own issues, don't they? The Eastern time zone, you think of the width between Maine and Michigan, and the amount of where the sun is at 5 a.m. in one is going to be different 5 a.m. in the other, but they're the same time zone. So the next time you can't remember, do I spring forward or fall back? You don't know when to set your clock. Think of the golfer and the insect collector who wanted a longer day.